Hello, good evening, and welcome to Business. Head of the EU delegation in Ghana, William Hanna, says despite a cut in financial aid to the country's budget, it is still monitoring government's macroeconomic policies. In an interview with my colleague, Bernice Abubedu, he identified some factors that would help government to deal with the issue of persistent budget deficits over the years. William Hanna also lauded the country's tax review policies as outlined in the 2017 budget statement.
Well, I think we've always followed very closely the macroeconomic policy. In the past, as you know, we had a lot of direct assistance to Ghana's budget, and so it was very important that if we did that, if we provided assistance through the budget, that the overall macroeconomic context would be a good one, would make sense. And we've been worried in the past about the big budget deficits in Ghana. So we continue to follow very closely the economic policies. I think one area well, maybe two areas I should mention. One is the need to increase domestic resource mobilization, to increase the amount of resources which are collected locally to replace the aid from the past. I mean, we know that a lot of resources leave Africa, leave Africa illegally. In fact, more resources leave Africa illegally than aid that comes to the whole of Africa. So there is a question about capturing more of the resources, making sure that more resources are raised locally so that you can reduce dependency on external assistance. And I've been struck by a number of the things that have been done in that area. One is certainly getting the tax regime correct, but another is the whole question of public resource management, public financial management, cutting down on the payroll, cutting down on the ghost workers, something which we have attached a lot of importance to.
So the full interview that focuses on EU-Ghana and EU-Africa Union relationship airs on Thursday on this same channel at 10 a.m. Do make a date. In other stories, Unilever Ghana says it is confident Ghana's improved power situation will help in boosting the company's performance this year. The company suffered a huge loss during the power inconsistency last 3 years. In an interaction with journalists after the company's annual general meeting in Accra, board chairman of Unilever, Edward Ifa, expressed confidence the current situation has improved and will translate into a much better performance this year. There's more in this report.
Unilever Ghana, in its 2016 financial statement to shareholders, recorded a turnover of 496.31 million Ghana cedi as against 518.73 million Ghana cedi same period last year, representing a 4.3% turnover decline. This decline was attributed to the negative effects of the power crisis and other harsh economic conditions faced by industries in 2016. Answering questions on alternative sources of power, board chairman of Unilever, Edward Ifa, said the company had been in discussion with government and optimistic of a stable situation this year.
To make alternative arrangements in terms of backup power, which is very expensive, which is a generator, because you can't stop production. And Unilever has those in place in case we return to those days. However, from speaking with the government, we should not go back to those days because Ghana's generating capacity has been significantly improved. Tallow and E&I has just begun oil production, and they'll soon get into gas. So I think the future outlook is promising in terms of electricity production and also pricing. I think the generating capacity has significantly increased, and that is a fact. In terms of power plant, there's AXA, some 300 megawatts, and there's a car power ship plant, and various other plants. So the situation Ghana found itself in 2010, 2011, when we were rationing power on a daily basis, we are not there anymore. So I'm sure this year we've seen very little power rationing or power cuts. There's still a lot of work to be done, including maybe the commercialization of ECG, some improvement in efficiency, and all the rest of it. But we don't anticipate, as we speak, that we'll go back to those days when you had power maybe 2 days a week, and you were running a genset for the rest of the time. Even if we do, we have the facilities in place to be able to continue production. It may mean higher costs because it's very expensive producing your own power, but it won't result in a shutdown.
On his part, Managing Director of Unilever, Yo Ziobeton noted that the company had been working on other sources of power rather than over-reliance on the national grid.
We have generators. Our wish is that, we don't have to rely on them. I think it's part of crisis management or business continuity measures that we've taken. Instead of going into the specific of green energy, I think it's always important to remind ourselves what kind of company we are running. A company that says day in, day out, I want to make a difference in the life of the people. You can't do that without, of course, taking steps to have green energy or renewable energy.
Despite the decline in turnover, the board of directors, however, approved a dividend of 0.05 Ghana cedi per share to various shareholders.
The Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, is asking government to grant legal authority to the committee for prosecution of people who misuse proceeds from the country's oil resources. It says its present capacity of just compliance and project monitoring falls short of powers to well sanitize the system. A member of the committee, Dr. Afiomoni, was speaking at the public forum in Kumasi on 6 years of petroleum production in Ghana.
About 100 participants representing pressure groups, professionals and religious bodies as well as traditional authorities attended the session. Dr. Moni, who is also president of Ghana Journalists Association, is confident granting PIAC prosecution powers will ultimately benefit the citizenry.
To be empowered legally to prosecute people who are found wanted in terms of the use of oil resources, or the people who are negligent in monitoring oil resources. It's a suggestion which is worth considering, so we'll table it at the right quarters with the hope that the right response will be found to this question. This is something which has come out so forcefully in this forum, and that our job should not rest in exposing the wrongdoing in certain quarters. Our job should be to extend to prosecute people who, as I said, are negligent, or people who have been people who are complicit in misusing our oil resources.
Financial journalists at the forum urged individuals and corporate institutions to position themselves for opportunities provided by the oil industry to boost the local economy. Beatrice Natoshitoto is secretary of the Institute of Financial and Economic Journalists.
Own the industry. How do you own the industry? You need to get involved and get engaged in that. To do that, the industry requires certain services. It requires certain skills. This is where, as Ghanaians, we need to position ourselves to provide these services. For instance, if an oil company is operating in Ghana and they need water supply, you need to be able to position yourself as a businessman in Ghana who can supply that water to the oil company. But to do that, you also need to follow certain standards, and so it is the duty of any businessman who want to play a role, or even any individual who want to play a role, to read around the industry or engage with people who have knowledge about what the industry requires, so that you can benefit from it. Businesses can benefit from it. Even dressmaking, water supply services, hotel manager, cleaning services, all these people can benefit from the industry.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Sensumensa.
Business Tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Opwaji Riafi. Good evening.